Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Fix-Attendant Frustrated. My female 21 boyfriend, male 20, works with a girl, female 23-24, who told me she'll kill me if I come by their workplace again. My boyfriend Joey started working part-time at a chain restaurant a few months ago. I work at a bookstore part-time about 10 minutes away, but we rarely work at the same time. He likes working evenings, I prefer mornings and afternoons. Whenever we happen to be working at the same time though, we like to meet up during our breaks. A few weeks ago, he wasn't feeling good at work and asked me to bring him some tea for his throat. When I came in, there was a pretty hostess behind the front podium who greeted me. I recognized her as one of the girls my boyfriend talked about sometimes, one of his work friends. I told her who I was and that I came in to give Joey tea, and she told me to leave it at the podium and she'd give it to him herself. Joey specified in the text for me to wait for him so he could see me for a few minutes, so I said I'd rather wait and give it to him. She got kind of a mean look on her face and told me that Joey was busy and I'd only be interfering if I got in the way. I told her I would wait in the lobby and she said, "You'll be taking spots away from customers." Only it was a weekday at 4 p.m. and practically nobody was in the restaurant or waiting for tables. At that moment, Joey whipped around a corner, gave me a hug and a kiss and thanked me for the tea. We talked for a few, made plans for later that day, and he went back to work. I said thank you to the girl, her name is Jess, and she kind of just said goodbye in a distracted tone. I mentioned it to him when we hung out later that day, and he said he thought that was odd behavior, since other waiters and waitresses have significant others who occasionally come in to drop something off and say hi, and she always directs them to the back of the restaurant. Neither of us really thought much of it though. Then, 2 weeks ago, Joey and I happened to be working at the same time and I forgot a lunch, so he told me to come to visit during my break and we could eat together. When I got there, he had a plate of food waiting at the table. When we sat down, Jess sat right next to Joey without asking if she could join. She seemed to make a point of only talking to him, not even looking me in the eye, and talking about their work friends, something I couldn't relate to. I stepped away to use the restroom, and when I came back, I heard her saying to him in a bitchy voice, "I thought this was our tradition. I didn't say you could invite your girlfriend to our lunch. You should have asked me first." I thought that was a little off, so I asked him about it after she went back to work. He told me they had lunch every time they worked a lunch shift together and would use the time to crap on the less likable workers at the restaurant. He said she called it tradition, but he didn't think he'd have to ask permission to invite me. I was kind of offended that I had to be invited to have lunch with my own boyfriend, and that was the first time I suspected something weird about her. She's constantly texting him and asking to hang out. Whenever she's doing something, whenever she's near his house or out of work, she's asking him if he's free. Joey doesn't have a lot of free time outside of his work, and his mentality towards it is, well, I see her at work all the time anyway, so I don't really want to hang out with her outside of work that much. She doesn't relent. She sends him Snapchats constantly where she's dolled up or with other guys or in bed with a tank top and shorts on. I told him this makes me uncomfortable, but he said he can't control what she sends him. When she sent him a suggestive picture of herself in a bikini that said, "About to get wet, come over and join me?" I admit I started tearing up and he felt so bad he blocked her on Snapchat. This was a week ago. 2 days ago, I visited him at work again for lunch and she was working. She didn't join us this time, and after Joey kissed me goodbye, she walked right up to me and said dead serious, "If you come near this restaurant again, I will kill you. Don't F with me." Now, I don't think she actually wants to hurt me, but I can't stomach the thought of him working with her anymore. She won't stop reaching out to him, and when he's been working these past 2 days, I felt really stressed out and freaked. I told him what she said, but he said she must have been joking or something. It's clear she's obsessed with him in the most unhealthy way, and I don't know what to do. One of their work friends is having a pool party sort of deal this weekend, and all of the kids he works with are going. He wanted me to come, but I can't go because of a family obligation. But Jess will be there, and the thought of him and her swimming in a pool together and generally having very little clothes on is making me dizzy. I know he'd never do anything to hurt me, but I don't trust this girl around him. I can't ask my boyfriend to quit his job or stop hanging out with his work friends, but how do I approach this? I'm sick to my stomach about this girl right now and I don't know what to do. Wow, OP, this girl sounds unstable to say the least. And your boyfriend sounds incredibly passive about this whole thing, particularly the lunches tradition that she said he needed her permission so that you could join. Like, what the F is that about? And then blowing off the, oh, that's just her sense of humor, threatening to kill someone. Yeah, that's not funny. I would say that you shouldn't have to do anything because your boyfriend should be the one to say, well, this is definitely not a healthy relationship and I need to cut this girl out of my life. But since he's apparently not doing that, what I would do is tell him exactly how you feel. That you don't care if it's her sense of humor or not. It was not funny and threatening to hurt someone definitely is never funny. Additionally, she's totally undermining your relationship, making her be more important at work than you are if you stop by and visit. Now, if you include those inappropriate Snapchats that she sends, yeah, there's a huge red flag here that your boyfriend is either oblivious to and he can't see it, or he refuses to see it because he doesn't like confrontation. At least that's my impression. What do you guys think about this whole thing? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Goat is my co-pilot says, your boyfriend is the person who needs to act here. He needs to call her out on her BS comment to you. He needs to block her on his phone and he needs to tell her to treat you respectfully. She sounds a little nutty. Restaurant jobs are a dime a dozen. He could find another one. Do not allow him to minimize all this. Clearly, he is one of these guys who hates confrontation. You cannot say you don't trust this girl around him only because it takes two to make a problem. And OP responds, believe me, he complains about her all the time now. Ever since the lunch that we had, he's been getting short with her, and I think that's why she insulted me the other day. She was catching on to Joey being uncomfortable with her behavior. He's told her to stop texting him and stuff, but he can't block her number. All the co-workers have to be able to contact each other in case of on-call shifts and stuff. Marauder says, there is so much wrong with that story. You need to tell your boyfriend that he needs to stand up for you. This relationship is so inappropriate, it screams red flags. The worst part of that story is your a-hole boyfriend has a tradition with her where they make fun of other employees. My god, I'm disgusted at the whole story. And OP responds, to be fair, they do work with a lot of wankers. Some of the girls that work there deliberately put dust in the food of people who are rude to them and talk crap about their boss, who Joey tells me is a really nice guy. I do want Joey to stand up for me. Right now he's kind of ignoring her, but it's hard when he has to see her almost every day each week. OneFi says, how long have you known your boyfriend? Tell him she wasn't joking and neither are you. I have to tell my boyfriend many times I am serious and I am not joking. Family obligation? Try to make it to the pool party even if you are late and make it a point you two are together. Go to the restaurant more often and act more intimately. Unless he is cheating on you, she should get the idea. If he is uncomfortable with her text messages, tell him to save them and show them to his boss or human resources. It is a harassment and no company will condone such behavior because of possible hefty lawsuit. And OP responds, we've been together 3 years. He knows when I'm joking or serious, but he says Jess has a weird sense of humor and it took him a few weeks to get used to it, so she might not have meant it. I really can't go to the party. It's my grandmother's birthday and my granddad died recently, so it's her first birthday alone, and I don't want to cause issues at the restaurant and jeopardize his job. I just don't want her to be a thing anymore. Additional information from OP's comments. I was thinking about telling the boss, but then that would affect Joey and he really needs a job. He's putting himself through school right now and I don't want to jeopardize anything. However, I know I probably have every right to tell his boss, but I feel like he should be the one telling his manager. I really don't want to jeopardize his job or position here. A lot of the friends he has there like this girl and have known her a long time, so if he gets her fired, I feel like he'll lose all those friends. Not my problem, I guess, but can't help but think about how it affects him. I know he's not a part of her shenanigans. He just always looks for the best in people, and what she said to me was pretty incredible, so I don't blame him for initially thinking she was joking, and I just don't like being that girl who asks her boyfriend not to do stuff. Now, I was originally very upset, especially when I saw the Snapchat, but I think he's just been clueless. He wasn't around for the 2 times she gave me a lot of attitude, so he had to hear it secondhand from me. He believes me, but he also doesn't see the bad side of her aside from when she got mad about me joining in on their lunch. All of his friends love her, so he's never really started to see her crazy side until now. I've spent my fair share of time crying over this. I'm not the most confrontational person, so while my gut instinct should have been to tell the bitch to F off, I just kind of felt intimidated and ignored her. I guess that since it was at his professional workplace, it made me a little less inclined to start something with her. If this had been just a social thing, I'd probably be a bit different. And to be honest, I was so taken aback by what she said, I kind of just froze. I mean, who says crap like that in real life? OP's edit. So after reading through some responses, I texted my boyfriend, he just got out of work, and told him everything I felt. I told him that I was 100% sure Jess was not kidding around when she said those things to me, and that I feel uncomfortable with her presence in Joey's life, and I think the manager should be told. I also told him that I don't feel comfortable with him going to the pool party. The main reason he wanted to go was to see off a friend who was enlisting in the army soon, but someone mentioned he should just hang out with the guy one-on-one instead, which I passed along to him and he thought was a good idea. So he's not going to go, and he will be coming to my grandma's party with me instead. To be honest, after reading some of your responses, I started to get mad, not at you guys, at him. And I kind of told him off about not standing up for me and completely shutting this girl out. So right now, we're texting back and forth and he's apologizing. Part of the reason it took him so long to distance himself from her was that he thought she was sending those Snapchats to all his friends, not just him. But after asking around, his friends told him they didn't get many of the suggestive ones, including the bikini one. He also told me he has been distancing himself from her in the last week and refuses to spend his lunch break with her. He is going to talk to the manager about it, though he's worried about how his work friends, who are very close to Jess, I guess she's worked there for a while, will react if she gets canned. But he wants to see her gone as much as I do. Thanks for the responses. I'm curious as to how the manager and Jess will respond to all of this. I'll update if something happens. Alright, well OP got some pretty solid advice, only that I don't agree with the last commenter's advice about OP kind of marking her territory, but that's just my personal opinion. So now let's move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ended. Hi guys, thanks for helping me out the other day. I got some PMs asking for an update, so I figured I'd write it out here. Joey went to work a few days ago and talked to his boss. He told him what happened, but the boss wanted to talk to me, so I came down to the restaurant to tell him my side. He was a really cool guy and seemed disturbed by what Jess had been doing since he's known her for a while. He told me he would handle it. Joey and I figured he was going to fire her, and we were really excited about it. But she didn't get fired, she got talked to. I guess since she's worked there for so long, the boss felt more comfortable giving her a warning. Some of Joey's friends from work told him that she spent much of her shift running back and forth from the bathroom, crying. I would feel bad if she wasn't such a psycho. Joey didn't want to go back to work and he was really pissed that she didn't lose her job. He wanted to talk to his boss about it, but his friends talked him out of it. I guess Jess had a really rough time in high school and dropped out of college, and the boss has been giving her second chances since she was a teenager, so Joey was all set to quit until this happened. We were hanging out at Joey's house later that night and his phone started blowing up. She was calling him and she wouldn't stop. She left text messages like, "I know you're home, I can see your car," and he got freaked out and went to the window. There she was, standing in the driveway on her phone. He wanted to call the police, but I just told him we could go outside and tell her to go away. So we did. But before we said anything, she started yelling at Joey, telling him how I was a liar and how she never said any of those things. She said she still wanted to be his friend and that I was getting in the way of their friendship. Joey told her to F off, essentially, and that he doesn't want her to speak to him anymore. He told her if she didn't leave, he'd call the police, so she did, but not without knocking down his family's trash barrels first. When he went in the next day, she wasn't there, even though she was scheduled to be. She called the boss and quit after she left his house. I don't know what the hell was wrong with this girl and why she was so obsessed with my boyfriend, but she's out of our lives now. I know some people were saying Joey seemed to be loving the attention or he was cheating, but if he was, I feel like someone like Jess wouldn't have a problem spilling that. And Joey is kind of a dumbass. He wouldn't know if someone was flirting with him even if they danced around in lingerie in front of him, so I trust him. Joey may still quit his job just because his work friends seemed a little iffy about Jess quitting, but we'll see. I'm honestly really surprised that she didn't get canned. I get having close co-worker relationships and everything, but come on, she threatened to hurt me while on the restaurant premises. I don't get it. Anyway, thanks for the responses. Alright OP, I'll count this as a happy update even though Joey's having a hard time at work. Well, at least she's out of your lives and you guys can move on and just be happy without her. So thank you so much for sharing OP and take care. All the best in the future. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user mypostingname13. You're capping commissions on our most in-demand vehicles because you're not doing any extra work, so you shouldn't get extra money? Fine, let's see how that works out for you. I realized that this story could absolutely be current, but it's not. Back in 2014, I was selling cars. Ford specifically. For all those who aren't car buffs, both the Mustang and F-150 were getting ground-up redesigns for 2015, and Ford had just announced that there would be no Shelby Mustangs or Raptor F-150s for 2015. Instantly, we were fielding several calls a day about these vehicles, and almost overnight, the inventory we had came with a 10 to 20,000 market adjustment due to demand. Our general manager loved both vehicles and traded for them whenever he could because he loved chatting about them with buyers. So we had 21 Raptors and 6 Shelbys still on the lot when I sold a ruby red Raptor extended cab at $10,000 over sticker the last week of the month. Both are crazy numbers for the over 200 new cars we sold a month. With the trade, I was due about $4,200 in commission, but my check was about $1,700 light. Come the first Saturday morning meeting after payday, we were told that commissions on such vehicles would be capped at $2,500 retroactive to last month, per a previously ignored provision in our pay plan. There was much grumbling, but management stood firm, citing how incredibly easy Raptor and Shelby deals were. They weren't wrong about that. There was no such thing as a test drive until the deal was done. You could absolutely drive the car before you bought it, but only after we had a signed buyer's order, credit app, and the deal had been submitted and approved. They were generally in and out in under 45 minutes, if not half an hour. But still, dealership gets free money and doesn't want to share? Cue malicious compliance. I talked to several other salespeople who to a man were pissed, and we colluded. I whipped up a little Excel or macro widget that would take the invoice price, hold back, add in pack and whatnot, and spit out a sales price that would produce an exactly $2,500 commission. I sent it to every salesperson we had and everyone used it. It took only 3 signed buyer's orders with seemingly arbitrary numbers for the desk to figure out what we were doing and to call another meeting. That meeting was basically management yelling at us and the entire sales staff calmly saying, "Remove the cap or you'll never see another signed buyer's order that exceeds it. F you." The cap was listed 3 days later. Magnificent OP. They wanted us at a cap? Well, you got the cap and now it's gone. I guess money talks. Thanks for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.